Trade the Pool live trading stream. My name is Scott and I'm joined once again here by Michael. How are you, Michael?
Hey, how's it going, Scott? Today we have a special guest as well. How you doing, Rocco? Yeah.
Hey, Rocco, how you doing?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, TTP family. Pleasure to be here.
Good.
Good to have you. Yeah.
Yeah, good to have you. Welcome. And how is everybody in the chat today? What have we got? What I want you to do is put your tickers in the chat if you want us to have a look at it. If there's anything you're looking at, we will go through some small caps and we'll go through some big caps. But if there's anything you want us to look at as we start, just pop that in the chat now and we'll take a look right after the intro. So how are we all doing then? What do we got, Michael? What are you looking at? Anything?
Yeah, some stuff. A few of those stickers. Obviously, we got NVDA today for after market close, and PAN WPA and W $91 down. NVIDIA is also down. I think they all expected NVIDIA to drop after the earnings.
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents here. And also got a few more. Let's start with the small caps and then go to the big ones.
Okay, no problem. Let's have a look at the small caps that we've got on there at the moment. So Seed was popping up, SOGP and CNEY. Let's have a look at C. And I also got MOTS actually up there now. So for me, again, it's not usual. It's what's happening, or not unusual, what's happening all the time at the moment. SOGP has got to its benchmark level. I trade off these benchmark number 1, excuse me, and number 2. And I expect to see some form of pullback for, if not the entire session, at least the pre-market or the morning session. And that's what we've got right here. So we've already gone to that 760 area and pulled back to the buy side liquidity pool. My perfect entry, really, if you can do this pre-market if there's liquidity. If not, I'd rather it be after the open, but it's already done it. It's gone into that sell side liquidity, almost double topped, and then comes off and is now looking to, it's teasing with the bottom of that buy side liquidity pool here. So at the minute, I'm going to wait to see what the open does. It was a bit wishy-washy down the bottom on this one, so there's a potential of a little bit higher, but as this has been acknowledged so nicely, I kind of prefer what it's done. That to me is a textbook short. So that is SOGP. We'll see what it does after the open. We'll come back to it. And then the other one, let's look at MOTS. I don't know if I called MOTS up earlier, but MOTS is at the top for me at the moment. Okay, yeah, so that's going off. MOTS, okay, this could be big. Let me just take a look at the daily on MOTS. Okay, no, nothing there. Right, so with MOTS, I'm taking a spread down off these lows. Okay, so I'm thinking benchmark 1 is where we're at the moment, and benchmark 2 is going to be sitting up there at about $2.50, something like that. So acknowledging benchmark 1, give or take a few cents on MOTS. If we come down and have a look, I will change the color of those in a sec. So yeah, looking for that push. I'd like to see a push further into this around 190 or 2 on the open to see if we can catch something to the short side. If not, I'll be looking for that to push into a liquidity pool, as we approach the open right down here at 120-ish. So if we can come into 120 and then work our way out of that, then potentially we've got $2.80 to $3 on this one for this morning. So we'll keep an eye on MOTS as well. What have we got in the chat? Any tickers in the chat? We have
Mara, MARA.
Just take a look at Mara. Let me just add this to the watch. Okay, that's on watch. Mara. All right. So Mara obvious downtrend here. Let me take a look up a time frame. So Mara had its benchmark 2 up here, so it didn't quite get there. It did work the way through the benchmark. It's now underneath it, so I would be looking for the big swings liquidity pool on this one. So I'd be looking for Mara to come, and it's pretty close. So I'd be looking for it to come somewhere into this liquidity pool here, which would be a buyer's hold. So we'd have to hold that. So yeah, I'd like to see Mara come down here a little bit further, perhaps into the 20s, roll its way out and up, and then look for 33 after that. That would be my take on Mara. If we're looking at actually, let me just check. Benchmark on Mara is going to be going a lot further down. Let me just see if those levels were acknowledged. Okay, 1, 2. So the benchmark is lower than the buy side liquidity pool. So we'll see. We might see some accumulation working down here, a spike into that benchmark before we come off. But we'll keep an eye on it and go with the buyer's hold liquidity pool at the moment to see what we get. At the moment, I think it's kind of safe for this to continue pulling into the moving averages and keep going down. So that's my Mara take. Anything else? We've got a couple on there for you, Michael. You got anything on Walmart?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about those, especially after yesterday drop. So let me share my screen for a sec. Alrighty. Okay, so a little bit about the stuff that I'm looking at right now. Nasdaq, obviously, it dropped, playing with the level, still got this nice level at the bottom here that we talked about. That's basically correlated to the, 423 on the Nasdaq, on the QQQ, the ETF. So that will be interesting to see if the price can drop, reach this level, and the Qs will reach 423-ish. And then the bounce we talked about basically yesterday. Actually, Scott, we talked about it yesterday, and I waited until the end of the session just to get my hands on a long on QQQ, but it didn't happen. Didn't reach this level yet. So I'm kind of, just waiting for it today, because that will be a great trade for me. So I'm waiting for that. Besides the Nasdaq, we got few that popping up and down. We can talk first about PANW, so PANW. Looking at an hourly chart, you can see the 1 minute chart, it dropped from 370 all the way to 274.5. So I'm taking the hourly chart. Yeah, that's a massive drop. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for that extra support resistance at around the level. I'm going back. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, we're saying 275. Obviously, that's a stock that can easily move a few dollars a day. So make sure you mark few levels, not just one. So the first one will be 281. The support we got from December last year, 2 times, also at the beginning of the year. Below that, you can see we have this area of support coming from the 265 all the way to 267. Yeah, so those are the 2 main levels that I see here. And if we'll break it, we got plenty of room to the downside. So I will keep an eye on PANW. You can see that we already broke one. This is the support level at 265 that we talked about. So also plenty of room to the downside. Let's try to talk a little bit about this scenario, what could happen here, or what we would like to trade if it will happen. So the best one will be for me popping up, because it dropped like crazy. So in most cases, you will see a pop-up first. So popping up, reaching that resistance level at 281, and also 200 EMA, and then dropping down to reach the second support level at 265-ish. So this is something to watch for. PAN-W. Another one that I'm watching, obviously NVDA, that's a $11 drop, but also SEDG. So going to the hourly chart and the pre-market, you can see it's also dropped like crazy from 86 to 64. Crazy move. And on the hourly chart, we only need to go back in order to mark the levels. I will actually take a daily just to go furthermore. 69, let's see that. Okay, so it's still within the range of the last few days. So we can mark this one right here at 74. Obviously the close of the gap at 67. So that's $2 below. I'll drop to the hourly chart just to see if if I'm missing anything between them. It's kind of choppy, so I won't pay attention to that. So these are the two levels I'm watching, the 74 and the 67. We already tested those lows. Best case will be popping up, rejected from the top of the 74.50, then going short. Another option will be to drop, breaking that support, retesting it, and continue to the downside. So both scenarios are to the downside. Just see if we will get them eventually. And like I said, NVIDIA and the rest of the stuff. What else do we got in the chat? Roku, do you have anything on your radar?
Yeah, so my top two are also PAN-W and SEDG because of the earnings. PAN-W, what is the difference between the two is that PAN-W actually beat the top and the bottom, but the forecast was bad, while the SEDG, everything is bad. So the earnings and the forecast, so I think maybe PAN-W was a little bit overreaction, but we will see what happens. But to add two maybe interesting ones, one is the Lunar, LUNR. So I don't know if you heard about that company. So their spaceship will land tomorrow at the moon, first time after 1972. So, and they launched on February 15th. So everybody's going crazy about them because they want to make it like affordable, commercially affordable, and for people to actually go to moon. So, and if they land successfully tomorrow, I guess that's going to be a reaction too.
So I got to tell you something about that. Obviously, I talked about it many times, my biggest loss in trading, and that was on SPCE, Virgin Galactic. Richard Branson, the guy who sent it to the moon, basically, or to space. And on the same day, when they reported that it was successfully sent to space, that was the day when it started to collapse. I got to share it with you. This could be another classic one of a pump and dump situation. So they actually, let me take the daily chart. On the same day, here it is. On the same day that they decided to successfully launch to space, that was the beginning of the drop. And as you can see, it went all the way down to $1 afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Incredible,
interesting to see. Yeah, interesting to see if this one will do the same. Is it LU? What's the symbol?
Yeah, LU, N as Nancy, and R as risk and reward.
Would you go, Rocco? Would you go? Would you take that spacecraft and go to the moon? You in?
Well, I guess that's for sure future for my kids. I don't know if I'll make it.
I will definitely do that. I mean,
for sure.
It'd be very interesting to see it from outer space.
Yeah, it's of course, it's kind of a special experience, and who wouldn't want to see the Earth from outside, right? To realize how small we are, actually. And the second ticker I'm watching is VRT.
Right.
VRT.
Also after earnings, yeah.
Yeah, also had earnings, missed that quarters, report, bad quarter, and also low forecast, down, fell 13%. So it had already a bounce in pre-market. So I think it's going to be kind of another hopefully bounce and then short opportunity at it. And for me, times and sales and level 2 indicate that it's time to entry the stock. So
Nice.
So those are my two.
That's a resistance at the top.
Yeah, beside the PanW and SEDG. So
nice.
And I just want to say, Michael, yesterday your WMP in the pre-market prep. I don't know if anybody wants to go back and watch and then look what happened actually with WMP. It was exactly basically what Michael said, right?
Dropped nicely.
180 and then dropped all the way down to 175.2 or something like that.
Yeah, that was nice. And today it could be also very interesting to watch Walmart. Not a lot of activity at free market, but we know the second play of the day after a nice earnings and a drop. In most cases, you will see another good strong day. So that could be interesting, at least for now. Like on the price level, price action level, it looks pretty good to the downside for me. But obviously, this is the range between 175.40 to 177. If it will break it, for me, it will be very easy trade to see it goes to the downside, break it, retest it, and then continue below. That could be interesting to execute a trade like that. So keep in mind as well. I see Scott Holo is also playing today. HOLO.
Holo is on the scanners today. I mean, it's got to be backside still, though. Yeah, it has popped up again. So it's done it kind of once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then it went to $100 almost. Today, I'm not sure. Maybe a bit of a dead cat bounce there. It's not something I'm going to be looking at unless the scanners are actually screaming money flow to me at some point. But at the minute, I think if I looked on there, yeah, it popped pre-market, but it doesn't feel like it's got a lot left in it to me. So if I was looking at anything, I'd probably be looking to short the sell side. So I'd expect if we was going to pop again on the open to hold this level. And if this level does break, then maybe it does want to go back and have a little look some way up to where it's come from. But it's kind of $75 off where it was now. That's got to be backside.
Nice. And before we'll go to another ticker, I see you writing in the chat. But guys, our guest today, Rocco, actually, or our trades, actually is a funded trader of Trader Pool. So he went through the evaluation, as some of you already did, and he passed the evaluation, and now he's a funded trader. So this is why we asked Rocco to join in, just to share. Rocco, you've been trading on the $80,000 buying power? Is that?
Yeah, that's correct. 80,000 with the risk limit right to 10 per entry and 700 to the max day loss. Yep.
Nice. So definitely, if you have questions to Rocco, feel free to drop them in the chat. Scott, you want to take some of the tickers on the watch list or on the chat?
Yeah, I think while I was looking at what went down yesterday, let's have a look at that Tesla trade. So there was a little game that we played yesterday about getting long that, and it would have had to hold for the rest of the day to get itself back to kind of break even, that long trade. But the short trade I was in, I had this target down here. There was a target 1 and a target 2, and we broke that sell side liquidity pool with a vengeance, pulled back to it, and then off down, and we literally held that almost to the penny before coming back. And I think we're just off the major sell side liquidity pool for this particular swing of yesterday. So from that high to the low, it kind of resides up here. And for this morning, I've got best execution level. So this is This is where I expect business to be conducted from an institutional level at around 194 there, 194.15 to 20 and 191.20. So if we can make our way down there, actually this might be spreading out a little bit as we're just breaking this level, but not too much. But I'd expect some form of like push down and push up. They don't both have to hold, but they can do. And then we'll see what happens from there. So for any further movement in Tesla, I'd like to see a break of one of these best execution levels for continuation down. And if we was to complete that benchmark from yesterday, which it kind of paused at, is still sitting down here at 185. So given that this liquidity pool is so close to this best execution, I would hope for a pop up into this and then just a continued kind of sell off. But we are in a big liquidity pool here, so it might be hard to push down here, but that's what I've got at the moment. So we'll see on the open if we recognize these best execution levels on Tesla today.
Yeah. I see you guys also talking about coin, COIN. Let's check that out.
Coin, let's just jump up, see what the hourly's got. Okay, so I don't see many of these liquidity pools holding on the way up, so I would have to take the whole lot of this and say I think it is looking for down here at 150. Whoops. Yeah, I'd say 150 down here. And let me just see what we've got at the top to see if we can't give you some idea on levels on the way down. So we've got a buyer's hold liquidity pool down there. Better on the 30. Yeah, okay. Let's get on the 30. I would like to see. Yeah, that lines up. So we've broken out of this kind of what I call a manipulation zone. It can sometimes accumulate up here for a period of time. You're best off out of that. But once it breaks out, you normally get a quick resolution to this target 1, as Tesla did yesterday. And again, down here is target 2. So 158.66 is the next level I would expect to be at least acknowledged for a little bit of profit taking. I can't draw on that for some reason. Can't grab it. One sec. Right. There we go. Yeah, so I expect a little bit of profit taking, or you can use this as a downside target. But ultimately, we've got a buyer's hold liquidity pool smack on a benchmark. So I feel like that's where coin wants to go. It's not to say that it can't pull back and test 177 before it does it, but it looks okay to me for the downside. We just got to get past this 200 EMA if it's been respecting it at all. Not so much on the way up, really. But yeah, so I've got a 168 break to get to 160, and then I'm looking down here at this 145, 150 area for coin. Anything else? Anyone else calling it VTYX? Where are we seeing VTYX on? Have a look. So Hanish has got VTYX having a go. Room to fill from 4.
Ooh, what a move.
All right. I'm not seeing that. VCIG or VTYX. Okay, let's take a look anyway. It's been going for some time, this. I think we're going to be going back to... Let's get a slightly smaller time frame. Where's that low? Okay, there we are. Okay, so we're looking back to Jan. So this is for me is a real kind of like slow burner, but it's the trouble. As soon as they've popped their own, as soon as they've popped, it's more of a short unless you get that 20% that would supernova past these levels. What we got? These are benchmarks. Benchmark these up. Yeah, so I'd be careful on the long side with this right now, as I see this on like the action that is happening at the moment. This is price action where I would say, right, benchmark 2. Benchmark 2 should give me an 80% chance of a pullback, somewhere down halfway at least. But I would take the current highs to the most recent lows. I think got you argue is this one down here. And then I draw in the sell side liquidity pool. Now, this is the absolutely key level to hold for a short. If you like shorting small caps on day one, it's a very dangerous thing to do, but the benchmark gives me kind of an opportunity to do that on day one if it holds. If it smashes straight through, then I'm looking for backside generally on these. But there is a sell side liquidity pool which we've just touched into. I'd rather see a few more candles in this and then a pullback to this on the open and fail at 420, 430, and then a drop back. The drop back where I'd want this to reside from is it's going to be there. So where it's going to either rest, so it's been resting at lunchtime, and then after lunch it can pop up and look for that sell side liquidity pool again. But this is the buy side liquidity pool that I've got, and that's where I expect a pullback to come back to and either rest. If we can work our way out of that either on the open or over lunchtime, then we could go back and retest those highs from a, for a dollar kind of range there maybe. That's what I've got on VTYX. We'll put that on.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Pre-market, you can see a pivot on the pre-market. Right, touched it exactly at the 4.3 or 4.37. Now trying to push higher, but this is a nice resistance coming from intraday level. So that could be interesting also to... You're not into the short side at the first day, huh?
Even though it's an 80-20 rule, we can short this sell side liquidity in day one if they go supernova, which there's been so many of them this year that it's something that I would kind of happily have done last year, but now, like the past 6 to 8 weeks, it's just seen some of these just go absolutely nuts to short on day one, and even day two at the moment. Really, what was the level you said there, Michael? The pivot here, is it 394 or 377?
432.
Oh right, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, right here. So yeah, interesting. And I see the next resistance level is for me is 950. Like if you're going real back a few years ago, I get around just 1 year ago, 2 years ago at February 22. So literally 2 years ago, the resistance at 950. Wow, that's interesting to see. It's already popping up pretty strongly.
Got a big gap in data there.
No.
Oh, how far back was you going there? Sorry.
February 25th.
All right, we're opening. Keep an eye on this.
Okay. Let's go, guys.
Okay, so that's just kicking off that sell side liquidity level there. So keeping an eye on this now. The confirmation of this would be a close beneath these stair steppers if you want to be more conservative on this trade, just in case it pops. Everyone else, I can't see it on my scanner for some reason, but it must be on everybody else's. But yeah, so just keeping an eye on this for the minute, just to see if we can't break that. If we break that sell side liquidity pool with a vengeance, then it could be the other way, but be careful. We know those short sellers, those aggressive short sellers, do like to come in and sell to those that want to buy the break of pre-market higher. So let's see how this plays out. What you got on, Rocco?
I'm looking at VRT, so it's kind of retracing back as expected, and I'm waiting now. The best will be a reversed hammer that happens on a higher volume, and then I'll enter. I usually don't trade first 4 minutes. Too fast for me at this level. So
makes sense.
I feel later. So yeah, and good luck everyone. Trade safe.
Yeah, good luck.
Absolutely.
We will need it today. So PANW dropping down nicely. Getting closer to the support at 266 we talked about. Let's see how it will react to that level. I'm still watching the cues. waiting for that support on the Nasdaq as well. It touched it like right on the dot. I'm actually waiting for it to drop just a tiny bit more before I would look for the long side on the Qs.
Whoa, that's the NQ there really took out the low side.
Yeah.
I wonder if it can do it. Really took out the lows there of kind of the overnight or the pre-market at least. I'm smacking one of these liquidity zones for that. It's been working its way through on that one. If I just grab this, Michael, for a sec. Yeah, so it's been sitting there since this swing up and been working its way through it this morning. And there we've just taken that wick out right down. So I wonder if we can move up from here at the moment. That's benchmark comes right the way across. We've been here before, twice into the benchmark. Been working the liquidity pool, and that is it. So that is now a negated pool. There's no more liquidity sitting in there. Doesn't mean it's not relevant for a pull back to the backside, but generally those three liquidity levels sitting in there are now over. So the move should happen one way or the other, assuming the whole market doesn't wait for NVDA later on.
Yeah, NVIDIA doing some ups and down.
So there's that. Sorry, Michael.
Go ahead.
I'll just say the break of that sell side liquidity level is an aggressive pop all the way up there. So nothing to do there. Just sitting on hands at the moment because that would definitely be a chase for me. So yeah, that's just on its way. Hanish, did you have any luck on that? Did you? You thinking 15 you've got on that, Hanish? VYTX having a go 4 to 15. Let's see what it does. Let us know how you get on. What else have we got? C-pop, I was looking for, see if we can get a little pop to it. We've done it pre-market. Just off it now. I was looking for a little 560 to short. C-pop, maybe just missed that one. Meds had something as well. Didn't get it on Meds. So Meds might have something here up at 950. I'd like a short on Meds. That definitely looks backside to me now. So nice to take a little bit out of that. And sorry, Michael, you were going to speak on NVIDIA.
I don't know if I want to speak about NVIDIA. I'm not so sure about that. I covered that with a tiny loss yesterday, and it did work eventually. But I covered that before. Today it's popping up nicely because of obviously the Nasdaq, and maybe interesting to see will be on the hourly chart at least. You got this 200 in May that switched hands from buyers to sellers. So we might see that move all the way up to this 696. That could be an interesting one to watch just before the end of the day with the earnings. PanW just touched the support level right on the dot and popping up. Couldn't get that. But for me, if it could hold this area right here where we're at around 273, maybe that could be a nice indication for the downside. So I'm watching that. Walmart dropped nicely also, so we can continue to watch it. Like I said, this is basically the drop, and then if we will have a nice pullback to the area of 175, 175.50, then we can try to short it again. So that's on Walmart dropping down nicely.
Okay, nice. I've just seen Tesla go into its sell side liquidity pool, so it bust the best execution level right there. Kind of took a look at the low side there, coming out of pre-market just before the open, but then went straight, ignored that. So it was like, best execution would normally be at or around this level. Like I said, the sell side liquidity was so near above it. So let's see what this does. I've took a starter on this short at the moment. quite aggressive, but yeah, I'm just playing that sell side liquidity pool at the moment. So we'll see if it goes a little bit further up, I'll add to it. If it breaks to the upside, that's when it gets dangerous for me. So at 196.50 ish, I'd kind of either reduce size or get out of that. But for the minute, just shorten that sell side liquidity pool for me.
Nice.
Quick look through VTYX, still going. Gun 644.
Wow,
Nothing halted yet, is it? No, still going. Still going. Hanish is still all over that. Good man, good man. SEDG, not quite up there. Best execution for me, about $1 off of best execution. So still got some work to do there. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on. I'll keep an eye on that. See if we can't push up a little bit further on SED. What was you thinking on that? Were you guys bearish or bullish on this?
SEDG?
Yeah.
Bearish on both scenarios. One at around 74.50, and the other one not relevant for now. But if it will reach the 74.50, that could be a nice place to start looking for the downside. That's a strong resistance level for me.
Yeah, also bearish, but I will wait under the VWAP. If it hits under the VWAP, that confirms. So
no.
I'm going to be a little bit more conservative, I guess.
Gotcha. Let's just have a look where that is. Okay, I gotcha. No problems. Are you a big VWAP trader then, Rocco? Is that you like to use that as for entries, or just an idea of a confirmation for you?
Well, I have that rule that if the stock is above VWAP, I will not short. Kind of saved me several times. Or if it is under the VWAP, I will not go long. So that's kind of a rule. I missed some opportunities, but it saved me on much more occasions than going in.
So does that mean, so is that on it is intraday because it's live all the time, but is that kind of like a trend bias then for you, so that you're basically a trend trader on that basis?
I'm more a momentum trader, right? When it goes under the VWAP, let's say tests, but it has to test back, right, to confirm that it's a valid break of VWAP, and then I enter, when the low or high is taken, depending on the side I go. Yeah. And then I stay in the trade till the, kind of either the level 2 changes or times and sales, the price action starts to hit certain level that cannot break through, or when there's like a big move of a candle, like taking high or low of the previous candle. So.
Gotcha. Understood. Sounds good. Let's have a quick look. What else we got? So look at Luna. You was looking at Luna as well, wasn't you? So
it seems that VRT is hitting some seller at 58.40. So now I'm gonna maybe wait till it drops below VWAP. If it bounces back, and then I will enter. Yeah.
So Rocco, what ticker was that?
VRT. So it's hitting a seller, obviously, around 58.40. You see 1, 2, 3 rejections. So
yep.
If it breaks, then I'll still sit on my hands. If it doesn't, I'll start to, make a plan to get in.
Gotcha. Okay, keep us updated on that one.
Pan W, I missed that. You kept holding it the 274.5, 6, and dropping down nicely right now. I think I missed the opportunity on that trade. The other option would be for it to drop a little bit more. This is the area we talked about. So it reached that, bounced from it. Now if it could go lower and let's say go to the 266, 265, 80, so at the low range, at the low of the range, then we can try to buy the dip on that. That could be also interesting one. So we need to wait and see if it can hold it. High volume at the bottom, and then I will execute.
I covered that starter on Tesla, having broke this level now to the upside. I do have so the swing from this bottom of the open is saying there could be benchmark resistance here at 197, but I don't like playing with the break of those pulls there. So that is covered on Tesla.
Guys, make sure you subscribe and like.
SOGP, so that's still faded. That was the pre-market trade there. Don't really have much else on that on the short side right now. CNEY, again, just can't get these plays into the session. MOTS, yeah, MOTS was there. Yeah, still kind of pre-market. On the open, it confirmed below those stair step. Well, just before the open, confirmed below those stair steppers. Actually, this is the buy side liquidity pool. I said I'd mark these up, and I didn't. So I've got a buy side there, and this was my benchmark up here.
I'm watching VTYX, and I mean, this thing is flying. Did you check I see it's bioscience. Okay. The news behind it, is it FDA or something? So what's going on there? And for those of you who like to short those penny stocks or small caps, just keep in mind it's still flying. Obviously, 130% right now, so it should eventually pull back. But wait for that major resistance level, and for me that will be 950. I know it's we got a long way to go to the 950, but if it will reach that today, that could be a nice place to start looking for that short. Don't try to jump the gun too early.
Just trying to see what news we've got on that. It doesn't seem. So I normally grade these on a 1 to 5 basis. All I can see is they're going to join. They're going to participate in a conference.
Yeah,
the Oppenheimer conference. Yeah,
that's what I see. Yeah, that's the only thing. But that's is it worth 130% pop?
No, not on my. It's not a big contract signed with NVDA, is it? It's,
yeah, right. It's not AI.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, but has it? It's not. Oh, it has. It did halt. My bad. It did halt. I need to turn that on. Yeah, so it did halt at 6:46 and has now obviously resumed.
Yeah.
So let's see.
I gotta see the next support level below the PAN W, below the 66. Not 66, 267. Let's see if we got something below that, so we can mark and use in order to manage the trade. So this is the area we are reaching right now. Yeah, below it, this should be the next support level at 258, 259, like the major one at least. Obviously, there are some tiny ones here at 261, but I will mark this area right here, the 250, 258, 70s, around that area.
Gotcha.
So very interesting to see if it could hold the support level. If so, we can try to go long on that, a bit aggressive, but we can try to do that. And if not, if it will break the level, retest it, we got plenty of room to the downside. So one option is dropping down, holding support, popping up. The other option is dropping down, crossing that support, retesting it, and then go to the downside. And as you can see, we got plenty of room, at least $5 to to the downside on the Pan W. So just need to see if we can hold this support area. I'm also watching Qs, waiting for my trade from yesterday. So it held perfectly the 200 EMA on pre-market 1 minute. One time, second, the third dropped very nicely. And we have this area of support between the 423 all the way to 422.50. So we got about 50, 60 cents. And if the price will hold this support, we can go long. I will buy it at the bottom even before the confirmation, at least as a starter. And hopefully it will bounce up from this low. Major support here. 200 EMA on the hourly chart as well.
Got about 4 or 5,000 shares on the tape down here at 650.
Okay, I entered short the VRT, so if you can, if you want. So just.
Which one is that, Roku? We can't hear you.
VRT. So it made like a sort of a consolidation about 558.25 and then broke that consolidation. I know it's about VWAP, but the signals on time and sales and level 2 was excellent. So let's see how far it goes. If I'll be kicked out. We'll see.
Stop loss above it. Stop loss is above
58.25. You see the range that it made between 58.25 and 58.88. So
yeah.
now you see on level 2 a big seller 57.50. So if that drops, then we are in the driving seat. So.
Okay, let's see. Maytar is saying BABA. Let's look at that. It's a nice move to the upside on BABA. Alibaba doing great there. Volume coming in. Hourly chart looks pretty clean. Okay, yeah, we're getting close to that resistance level at around this area of what's that? 76.80, between 76.80 to 76.60. So we still got like 30 cents or 40 cents up, and then we can try to look for the downside on BABA. Best way to see it for me will be now to drop, then a pullback to the upside all the way up to the resistance level, and then try to look for the downside. Maybe a tiny push to the 77 just because it's a round number, and then the downside. But this is the area I would look to short BABA. Strong resistance on the hourly extended move. And obviously we would look for those high volume and negative diversion in the MACD. Come on, Nasdaq drop. Just a little bit more. Are you going in with me, Scott?
On the Qs?
Yeah.
Let's have it. I was wondering if I might see. I'm just hearing some money flow on VTYX, and I've got that red to green candle on the 1 minute that those longs like, but I don't think it's got it in it. Let's have a look at the Qs though. Actually, I've got it on the NQ. Okay. Yeah, I like it down here. I do like it down here. Yeah, double bottom of a benchmark, a little bit lower. It all looks good. Yeah, I think if I can see some confirmation there, I'll join you. Are you scaling into this one?
Yeah. I'm gonna add. I'm gonna put some orders right now, and let it catch me on the way down. all the way to the 50. So 422.50. Let's see if it can catch me.
Let me see.
NVIDIA made a nice move to the downside. Very rangy today. I mean, a big range, but moving sideways, going up, going down, not creating any trend. And I'm still watching PEN W, PA, and W, because that's also a very interesting one to watch. Like I said, maybe to try to buy the dip at around 266 area. That could be nice to see it correlated with the market. So if the Qs will drop, then PEN W will drop, and together they will hopefully bounce up. What else do we got here? Mara. On the hourly chart, Mara looks great. And that's a nice stop. Like a head and shoulder kind of pattern.
Yeah, beautiful head and shoulders, that one.
Oh.
Textbook.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Classic. What about VTYX? Are we long on that?
VTYX, we have got backside, so I'd be looking. Well, no, sorry, my bad. It's not backside. It's if I was thinking of a short, that's where so this is not a benchmark play, so that this would be super dangerous. But I'm just going to draw it in to see if it does do that textbook pattern for me. But yeah, I would. It didn't really give a very, very shallow. It didn't kind of break back above these two moving averages here. If it was going to be aggressive, then I would have taken that up. But now I'm just going to be looking for that benchmark one up to the high. So I can't think about a long unless it gets down to 530. And I can't think about a short, which I probably won't, if it gets to 675 or 7. So that's where I'd rather get trapped between these two pools and then either buy the break or sell the break, because there'd still be room down here. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at now. MNY resumed. MNY, what's going on with MNY? Whoa. So that was it off its benchmark yesterday, and straight crash off the open for MNY this morning. The MOTS we had a look at as well. We've got VTYX on the money flow. Okay, so MOTS has just hit its buy side liquidity pool. It's trying to work its way out of that. If I was looking for a long target on that, yeah, it's kind of back up towards where it was. I'd say 160, 150, 160. If MOTS can remain above this pool. Like I said, there's 3 levels in this pool, kind of top, middle, and bottom, so it can be worked. So we need to wait and see if that's going to be one of those. You might rest in there until lunchtime and then make a run up for 160 later on. So we'll keep an eye on that. Mara. Someone called Mara again? We just took it out, didn't we?
Yep. We just looked at that, and
Yeah.
also you can check out GM as well, doing a nice move too.
Wow, what's that look like on the daily? Yeah, I think we need to see a break up there, don't we? Need to see a break of 40 there if that's going to continue on up.
Yeah.
Where's those lows? Picking off the lows. Yeah, it's just spiked above that benchmark, so it's got room above it, but it would need to break up above 40 there to get to it.
Alrighty, guys. So I'm gonna leave you for a few minutes and gonna come back hopefully at around 10:15, 10:20. So best of luck for now. I don't know, the queues is pushing higher right now, so I don't see our orders getting filled at the bottom.
No.
But you know, maybe when I'll return, we will have a different story, right?
Yep. With the queues, you'd always get a different story.
Exactly. All righty. So see you in a bit, guys.
Catch you later, Michael.
Bye.
So I've got this Tesla quite long above. So just taking that the last swing of pre-market as opposed to the first swing of the session, still work through that level that I was looking to short here. So just watching it now. The big caps, even though these are volatile, big caps don't usually go to their benchmark 2 in the kind of same session. But keeping an eye on it, it's kind of been bought up every time it's paused at the moment. So I'm keeping an eye on Tesla for the moment. You got Rocco? You got something? Let's have a look at your VTR update.
I exited the VRT, but then flipped it to long after it broke 58.88 and still going.
Okay, nice.
That's the flexibility you have to have, right?
That's it, yeah. Yeah, so where's what? So your target is simply based on the price action that occurs on the level 2, right? If it starts running out on the bidders, you'll see a big amount of sellers, you'll scale out of that, will you?
Yeah, and times and sales, right? When I start seeing now that bid or ask, in this case ask, that's not going to be broken, right? Green at the same price level that's not going through. You know, I'm pretty sure that there is some seller that's blocking the price, and then I'll at least partial out. And then if it takes the low of the previous candle, then I will be out.
Gotcha. What else have I got here?
So now I'm out. See, I'm out.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So that's the momentum I'm looking for, right? And then I wait again.
As soon as it stops.
Yep.
And are you looking at any other tickers in a session, or will you just solely concentrate on this one?
So at the open, right, I choose one and I focus the first half an hour only on that one. After that, I take a break, 10 minutes, right, or 15, and then I use trade ideas to identify opportunities, right, depending on the scanner parameters and how what the price action looks like. Then I enter. So,
gotcha.
But in the first half an hour, just I'm maybe too young to follow 5 or 6. So this, you know.
No, it's easy to analyze 4 or 5 or 6, but it's not so easy to trade 4, 5 or 6.
Yeah, but what I realize, you know, if you really do this pre-market prep at a high quality, for example, you find the catalyst like VRT had, right, the earnings where they missed, and then the volume is also there. The volume was above 1 million, I think, before the market, and pre-market price action is also smooth. It's not like all over the place, right? There's a high probability that there will be an opportunity to kind of have a momentum in that stock for the morning, for first half an hour. So.
Understood. So chat, if you've got any questions for Rocco, put him in. You must have some risk and reward questions for him on how he manages that, because that's surely going to be the key to passing. Rocco, would you say it's how you manage your risk and reward that's helped you out there?
Yeah, the risk and reward actually made my maybe success in this challenge, right? Because when you start, you don't think so much about the risk or the so to say back end, right? You're thinking how far will my stock go? But then when it doesn't go, it's hard to accept. It's just our mindset that we bring from our environment, from life, to the stock market that works in very different ways that we have to accept, right? That anything is possible, like Mark Douglas would say, like that at any point in market. So you cannot predict or expect that anything will happen or be sure that it will happen.
Absolutely. So, don't let me miss your momentum there on VRT there. It's kicking back in.
That's okay. That's what I learned. Even if you miss an opportunity, market will always give you another one.
Yeah.
So don't get upset if you miss an opportunity. There's always going to be another one. So.
Yeah, and that's especially true with these Nasdaq stocks and specifically the Qs or the NQ on the future is normally always say like just here. This is why I use those pullbacks on those pulls, because even though it felt like I just wanted to grab that in the first instance, it's that pullback when it comes here. That's the one I'd much prefer to grab because you kind of get a better push off of those levels rather than the chase, which I just feel like it's 9 times out of 10 you chase anything on the Qs that it just pulls back on you. So yeah, we'll see where that gets to. So if I was trading that, I'd look to see what would I have there, 424.90 to 5 to see if it could break above there before it might want to pull back again. But certainly for it to continue to the upside, that's the level. I mean, it's also a previous support level there, but just worked off of this low. That's the one I'd expect to break to build a bit of momentum if we can get it. I'll just put that line in there. Yeah, so it's there or thereabouts.
Yeah, very nice. Look at that. So you're mainly trading small caps since you're introducing them, or you don't?
So I've been in investment banking like for the past too many years that I'd care to recall, but it's so I'm very much like execution based when I talk about that business that happens in the first kind of hour of the market. I've just got to turn this scanner off because it's going mad in my ear. Bear with me. ABS, it was calling out. So when you work in a bank, obviously you cannot execute. So my execution is newer from last year in terms of new execution, and I like the challenge of small caps with the impression that it seems like you can build an account quicker with the small caps. But I think I'm kind of coming around to the idea of the mid to large caps now. I certainly know that every one of them is kind of executed institutionally and have an institutional ownership. But with the small caps, that's one of my criteria. Is I look for insider. It must have a percentage of insider ownership, and it must have a percentage of institutional ownership. That way, I think my levels are more likely to have a decent turnout, basically. So that's why I'm always drawing those boxes on from the pre-market is generally a guide to where those best execution levels will occur in the first kind of 30 minutes to an hour. And I either avoid that or take advantage of that where possible. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of looking left to predict levels going forward as such. I think it's to look at what's happening now or what has just happened that sets the basis for what could happen in the next hour, basically. So we've broken that level there now. So it's if we can hold that level now, this is only a 2-minute chart as well, that I'd really want to start working each of these levels throughout the session. That is what I would like to see happen. But with the Qs, it's generally always going to come back. So even though I've just broken that level there, I'll say, right, that's great. We did break it. But if it wants to come back, where would it want to come back to? And I would say, right, if it was going to come back and grab some liquidity, that's probably where it'd come back and get it. And I just draw those on each time. So I'm kind of going from, I draw these each time. So if I've gone to this swing and I've said, right, my target, if I was getting long down here, would be the 42490, because we don't know it's going to break at that point. And then if it breaks, I'd really prefer to see a pullback to the pull rather than a pullback to the level. But sometimes if it's got that momentum, it could just go bang, bang. But when this happens, you generally see a very high probability that this first target can get filled pretty quickly. And what else we got calling up here? MOTS, VTY, XCNY, still the same on that. NCTY is done. EFOI.
I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start now. Traded via scanner. So this is the time that I usually start it. So.
Okay. Let's have a look. Whoa. So I've got RAPT and EFOI. Is your scanner looking for the small caps, or have you got criteria that's ruling that out by price or by market cap?
Yeah, only mid to large caps is the scanner. Yeah, and I'm looking only at the stocks that already had a 4% move in either direction.
Already this morning.
Yep. And then I'm looking at the chart if they had at least 20-minute consolidation period, 15 to 20 minutes of consolidation period, and then wait for timing sales or level 2 to signal the entry. So for the breakout, it's actually a breakout play, right?
Breakout of consolidation as opposed to a range, which I see as two different things. Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. So, yeah, just to drill down on that a little bit more, Rocco, tell me if you think I'm wrong here, but obviously a range is something where price can bounce between for really any length of time and doesn't really have an edge. Whereas when prices kind of consolidate really tightly, it doesn't last that long. So this is more of a consolidation. It's just a few bars, and then generally you get that push in the same direction. You can call it a mini bull flag if you like, but that's kind of what I see as my consolidation push. Would you agree with that, Rocco? Is that the kind of thing, or give us your take?
Yeah.
If not?
No, I agree completely. I'm just also looking for some lag, kind of directional move before the consolidation, right? Like you have now, right? Now, if it will go sideways for a bit, right, that would be a consolidation after that pull of the flag, what you said. It can be also a flag, yeah. I consider it as a flag too, if you think about it. Yeah.
So where has this been? I just want to get, it's fine that it's popping up on the scanner. I just want to check where it's been as to whether or not this is, a front side or a back side move. So I'll be taking this swing here, and what I'm looking for is a bit of line up here. So there you go. That's 450 is that benchmark there. So yeah, we know we was up here somewhere, and if we look on that smaller time frame in pre-market, yeah, it's just kind of double topped. It just had a look at that level and then it's fallen off. So now I need to look and see. I think we've really, I don't even know if that would probably be the first swing. Yeah, so it's come to the very bottom of the liquidity pool for the first swing, and I'd argue it's closed under if we took the whole move. But that first move, the first move of anything is pretty key, and that's what it's used there. It has broken out of, but now gone straight back to it. So as nice as that was looking, I would now consider this a new trade, right? So I consider that a new trade and would be saying to myself, we'd have to break out of the, the zone around here where we could just accumulate. Yeah, cool. It's not a benchmark, but it is a zone that I wouldn't really want to get involved in because it's effectively a best execution. So anyone else that wanted to short this, that would be the best place they could do it at this time compared to this current price before it. So yeah, I would need to see a breakout of that level in order for this to even consider being a long. And even then, I'd still be classing it as backside. I wouldn't class it as a new high yet, although we've said that so many times this year and it's gone supernova. But so yeah, I'd see a sell side liquidity pool in. The buy side it's been in from the first swing and would need to break out of this like 215 level in order to get to 330-ish. Bearing in mind you'll have sellers at VWAP.
So Holo popped up on the scanner. I know you were talking about it in the morning. It's not my play, but if you want to look at it, it might be interesting. So,
short side Holo.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so there's plenty of downsides which I almost know that it's broken. But so this would be the key for me is the momentum comes in often when we break these pools, just literally like VYTX did on the open. When if it breaks that sell side liquidity pool, there's nothing there. You can imagine it like set tight on the level 2 when you just see that big seller of a few thousand, all of a sudden boom, it's gone and it just runs. That's a similar thing, but obviously I don't quite trust level 2 all the time. I prefer time and sales to. I don't know about you, but I prefer the time and sales because they're orders that have been executed. Yeah.
The time sales is actually the truth of the market, right? Whatever prints there, it's real. At level 2, they can put the order, remove the order. It can be manipulated a little bit, at level 2. Yeah, but if you see that, so to speak, ladder, where there is, let's say, a seller at, I don't know, 60 and then 60.5 and 70, 7.5 with large orders, that kind of give some indication that the price will move towards that ladder, right? The big players will attract the price to them.
And do you look at the speed of the speed of the tape as well? So like I kind of add a little pop noise to the time and sales if it's above a certain contract size, so that if I see multiple orders above a certain contract size, it literally starts popping at me, so that I know that it's speeding up, and then I also know as it's slowing down, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. But I'm not there yet, so to speak. Maybe with the experience, I will see how it speeds up. I do realize that, the tape sped up, but not at the moment. I realize after it slows down.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, it's halfway there. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, it's it depends what you're trading. Certain platforms are a little bit easier to kind of manipulate like that and put that criteria in easily rather than having to code stuff yourself. But it's definitely, that is almost what I use one of the scanners for on trade ideas, is like literally a set criteria that is very fine, but it doesn't call me out every time it speeds up. But when it's over a certain amount, then it starts shouting at me. I don't know whether you guys hear it when it goes off, but then it starts shouting at me when the ticker starts getting a lot of order flow. So that's my kind of money flow scanner that I have. I'll just switch that on because I switched it off earlier. It seems a bit quieter now. So what else have we? So you're still looking at VRT now? That's still working its way up on the reversal. There. So that was a good call.
I know.
You're out.
I know, but I'm done with that. So it's, I try to kind of play with this so-called stocks in play for, let's say, whole day, but at the end, it's just the most profitable is this first half an hour with them for my strategy. Of course, other strategies can work better. So.
I got you. So Luna then, so Luna up to that benchmark, worked above it for $1 or so, and then now it's back under it. So again, what I would be doing here, so it's hard to do every single thing, every single ticker that comes up, but that I track these levels, right? So if I'm getting long this now, bear in mind this is post market, but I'm just looking for these levels, and it doesn't matter even if you just say that I want to see a 50% retracement of the swing, and they don't have to be accurate, but that's what you really want to be doing. And the further it kind of pushes into them, the more liquidity it's taking. But it's the fact that it can come back out that is the bullish sign and continue. So that's how I identify whether I'm in an uptrend or a downtrend, because it keeps happening. They keep working, almost every time. The caveat is if it doesn't come back to it sometimes, which is normally the initial swing, so the initial kind of volume, this one will probably prove me kind of wrong, but it doesn't quite come back to it, that's an aggressive sign that it may not work. So certainly this one here did. No, this one here didn't, but this one here, it just didn't look back, right? It just went, and that's kind of an indication that it's going to go. But once it's gone, put in a high and then pull back, if it's going to grind, they will keep working and working and working. So then I take that last one that worked and take it up to the highs. I don't normally cross. If this is the liquidity switch on at 8 o'clock, yeah, I need to change my time frame here. Where are we? Let's change that. So at 1 a.m., I don't know if you trade pre-market or not, Rocco, but at 1 a.m. you get this liquidity switch on, and it always gives you this kind of like whipsaw. That's not nice to be in if you're in a pre-market trade. But I tend to ignore those highs. So this is my last buyer's hold level. And this one here obviously works, but can't put in a new high. So therefore, this is my first indication that, oh, okay, so maybe this is changing. We're at a benchmark 2. We've held this, but if this cracks, then that is where you're going to, that's where you're going to see, some momentum kick in. So that's how I kind of play things. And then you can see here, it's gone from benchmark 2 to benchmark 1, and now we're seeing some liquidity in.
Yeah, for example, that would be also sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be also this is actually a perfect setup for me at this point, right? A stock that was 4% down, let's say, and had this range that you labeled on the top, and then it breaks the low of the range, right? Or consolidation.
So up here, at this kind of area.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's the entry, right?
Perfect. Yeah, and you would have. Well, I don't know whether this could have got you out here on the whether that would have dried up a little bit for you, but certainly that momentum kept on going straight afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be looking at the tape for that and the time and sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I see the ladder now very bearish at this point, right, I'll stay. So in the level 2.
Let's have a quick. So.
And the other thing that you can see on those green candles, if you look at the volume, right? The volume of those 3 candles that you were showing, that was like a retracement, right? Is much smaller than selling volume, right? So that's also an indication that's just a retracement.
Yeah, just these here,
yeah. You see the volume? How much
to these? Yeah. I got you. Yeah. So from this point, if I was at any point looking to get along this, I'd always be wondering why is it coming back from this point? I know it's a benchmark, we've blown through it already, and it can work from the backside, but it's always, I could try and think where that liquidity would be, because it just doesn't make sense when it's coming off of full. We know, a small cap coming from where it's come from, right? And let's have a look on the daily.
We also have some comments in the chat. GM is breaking a bull flag, and SMCI has a nice round.
Meta. All right, we'll take a look, Meta. Thank you. Yes, where that's come from a kind of 214 to 12, and it started to come off like that. So today looks like it's going to be a first red day, but obviously it pauses there. So I have that. Yeah, so I'd start to look for another short around this 1150 to 12 area to see if I could get something else on that. Just a quick look at GM. Yeah, GM is on a mission there. I'm just trying to see where that started, that little mission out from its last change from up to down.
GM stands for a great mission.
Okay, so yeah, so the trade I like is the one in the middle. It's a swing trade, obviously, on these kind of plays, but this is the sort of thing on a small cap that happens just in pre-market, right? It just happens almost instantly in pre-market at the moment. But that's what I like to take out of the market is I watch it break out of this first zone. It needs to hold out of it, or it can come back to a liquidity pool in here would be fine. That's the lower risk entry to take. Then it just work its way out. It's like each level and just keep holding. Then that's where I'd be drawing from that breakout area. Follow it. Oops, not using that. Follow that all the way up and then switch to liquidity pools. And then there's that draw in the pre-market that touches the top of that liquidity pool. And that's all it needs before it runs off. And now I probably expect to see not necessarily a reversal, but some kind of profit taking, a little bit more accumulation, a little bit of sideways action up here. But I generally run it the other way, right? To prove to me it's got a break, I'm going to run it to the other side. Did we hold that sell side? We just did hold that sell side pull rather than push up again. So now I'm looking at that area there to say, right, well, if we can break out of this area, we could actually be going for back to 39, 30, 10. Back down here to 38, but it has to break out of there. It can also touch the bottom to continue up, so that's why it's so relevant. You can feel like you're getting played in this area right now. But yeah, that was a good call this morning for sure. Thanks Meta. Got Mara as well. What's an update on Mara?
And then we have a question: how is Pan W looking for a bounce up?
W. Okay, so Pan W is what we kind of drew out this morning was those best execution levels. So this is so the best execution levels are dotted. It's kind of dotted around here. So you'd expect kind of institutional orders to be up here for best execution. Now they might have positioned it pre-market, but again, that's a liquidity switch on. So I don't think that's it. I would say they haven't gone for sell orders this morning yet, but they're definitely doing the same thing down here. Now, you can't really tell unless that breaks, but generally a best execution would at least try and attempt to come back either to execute the sell orders at the better price or not. But at the minute, all we can say is it is in a liquidity pool down here from a bigger swing. It's just hitting best execution to the buy side, but it's not aggressively coming back off it. So I do look at, I don't know if I can compare that to.
Yeah, there's definitely a buyer at 268. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4 bounces, right? So, but how strong of a buyer is? The buyer is not stepping up. So that's the problem, right? It's not moving the price up.
So what's he got?
And there's
260.
a larger or bigger seller at 272. So I'm very conservative. I would play it only if it breaks 272.
So that's where I draw that in. I'd literally take this range. I'd take those lows, put that round, and just wrap it around and say, right, if we're going to go somewhere, that would be the area that it would need to come out of to do it. So that is where I would expect that momentum to come in. But that's $3, right? So it really depends on the volatility that we've got on the day as to whether or not you can afford not to be a buyer at the level it is with the risk at the lows, if that's what you're looking to take. If not, I'd rather sell 74.40 than try and buy the break at the moment.
Okay, and then we have from Matar, then Mara over 22.6 could be a nice long.
22.6, bang that in. 22.60?
22.6, yeah. $22.6.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Hold on. We got that right, Mater. Mara over 22.6 could be a nice long. 23.6?
23.6 probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, I would agree. It rejected 1, 2, 3 times, then it kind of made a trap for shorts above 23.6, and then it dropped. Sorry, trap for longs. And then it dropped down. So yeah, if it kind of breaks, but if it does a pullback to 23.6 and then goes up, then that's the point that I would go in after the pullback. Because the trap for longs already happened once. You see that above that line that Scott just drew? See that green that went above? That was a trap for longs. These institutions were making a trap for longs to shake them out.
So that's the funny thing is what you when that definition of a trap or a stop hunt comes into play, that's where I'm kind of saying, but this kind of information here in pre-market is what drives bets. So I could almost put a bet on. So I ignore this switch on, right? So I ignore the switch. I would literally just be looking at kind of this area here before the open, and that's where I'd be drawing to say where would the best execution levels be for the institutions, and I would say they would be here. So I'd say they'd be at 23.60, which is what we've been knocking on. So I would say there is sell orders. So we were sitting down here on the open. If we execute client orders at 23.61, that's fair, right? That's best execution. And if we had buy orders, they would be down here at 22.36, and we haven't gone there yet. So then I'd take the first swing out and say, right, where can we go? So the first swing from the pre-market to the open session and see where we're getting to. So yes, we have room. We could execute these best execution levels at 23.60, and then we could pop to 23.80 or 24 before we see some sort of potential correction back. But a lot of the time we can literally, especially on the things like the Tesla and the Mag 7s, we just literally best execution to the sell side, best execution to the buy side, then pull back for some liquidity, and then we go the way we're going to go for the rest of the day. If that's joining the overall trend that has the higher probability in that case. But yes, I definitely see that as, and your definition of that is, what did you call it? A trap. A trap, yeah. Which to anyone,
a trap,
to anyone that is buying any old breakout, so either anyone that buys the breakout of again, I discount that, but pre-market highs here, it feels like you've got trapped, but there were resting orders up there that are always going to be executed at that level. Similarly, there should be buy orders down here still at this point, unless there are no buy orders, then like on the desk, and then that's fine. Then we can just continue our way up.
So what is your opinion? Why would the institutions do those traps? I have my opinion, but I just want to hear yours.
So it is literally best execution. If you have a look and so if a client onboards to an investment bank, they have best execution criteria that they have to adhere to. That not only means going out to multiple execution platforms and liquidity providers to get physically, I'm going out to 5 platforms. They're giving me 5 different prices. I'm going for the best one. But also you're giving a service. So, and I'm not saying this is any kind of market manipulation or anything like that. But if you can offer your client a better price than what it is current, that's what you should be looking for. That's what everyone in this game should be looking for. So it shouldn't be a surprise that is a service to offer a better price than where we currently are. We should always be looking for that. We do it on a second-hand car, but for some reason as retail traders, we tend not to do that. We just buy the highest price because it's going. So that's it. So I think it is just kind of a formulated, when people this year and last are mentioning like the algorithms more so than ever, AI has been in the banking environment for a long time in terms of execution. So it's just, to me, that's standard business levels that retail traders are just getting in way too early. If you keep out of that and just wait for that business to finish, and then there'll be a right time to do it, which maybe now, if we break it now after this business has happened and there's no need for us to go and execute any buy orders down at 22.30, then we could just head on up to the upside.
Great, thanks.
Welcome back, Michael.
Thanks.
Welcome back.
How's it going, guys?
Great.
Actually, I had a super funny call that I had to take, and hopefully within a week or so I can share more on that.
Oh, cliffhanger! A little teaser.
It was great. But we will have to wait for that. I actually took during that call, I took short on Tesla. So that was a nice one. It's still in, and I'm waiting for it maybe to drop just a little bit more. If the Qs will drop, then I will probably get another drop on Tesla as well. So the idea was kind of the same way as always, selling the top, buying the dip. It had a nice move to the upside, reached resistance, drop, took out some stop losses right here at the 199. I heard some of the stuff that you just talked about. So the idea is that a lot of the people watching it or algos that watching it saying, okay, that will be a great place to buy because it's a breakthrough of the resistance. So a lot of the machines are starting to buy here, and that will be a great place for big sellers to drop their shares. And that's exactly what it did. Basically, it broke through the resistance, high volume coming in at the top of the range, 199. Sorry, 199. It's a round number. Also, I got a pivot just a little bit below it. Added first chunk here. Added a little bit more here. And now it's dropping nicely. Hopefully, like I said, the Qs will continue to drop to the support level we are talking about the last 2 days. And if so, to this area right here, and if so, Tesla probably will continue to drop as well. So that's a nice trade.
Beautiful trade.
The entry, but I only got 400 shares here. So this is why I'm kind of tiny bit disappointed, because I should have had on the break, but obviously because of the call and everything, I wasn't fully focused on that. So hopefully it can drop just a tiny bit more, and I will start taking some partials out, because it did now reaching a little bit of support area.
So if it is okay, can I share my screen to show you level 2 on Mara?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you see it?
Yeah, no. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you see the level 2, how it is imbalanced, so it towards the up end. See all those pink ones? So these are the big orders on the ask, waiting for it. So that's something I was kind of talking about before, the imbalanced ladder on the level 2. On the left are the bids, on the right are the asks, and here you can see how they're stacking above 2360. So there is some chance that will break and go, but have to see for the pullback, right? So
you're saying if they all disappear, that you'd break and go on the right hand side, looking at this screen?
Yeah, on the right hand side, they're attracting the price, right? Those are kind of bigger sellers, bigger patient sellers that are waiting for price to come to them, right? And market makers, in my opinion, you want to go to these big guys, big players, and you see how many of them are there on the ask side. There are some on the bid side, so that's why it's kind of still fluctuating, right? But there's a chance that will be going higher and higher, as Meta was saying.
Yeah. So we're just still at 2365.
But you see the balance is coming in, so kind of. But when I started sharing, it was really imbalanced. So
yeah.
All right. So that's why I just want to share.
Nice one, thank you. So yeah, 2360 still the key level on Mara there. Let's see what we've got. It just, if you can feel that time and sales when you're looking at it, isn't it? It's let's see what we've got. Like I said, so that for me is that best execution level. They've just played it constantly, but yeah, mate, you're right, mate. To break above that should see it soar for a little while. Okay, let's have a look what else we've got. So what happened to VTYX? Okay, so buy side held for a little while. It ended up being a VWAP hold, and at the moment back down into that buy side liquidity pool. We never did make my textbook execution of pulling back to that 673. So that's okay. We can see what happens in this. Yeah, as we go, well, probably after lunch, I'd expect it to happen now if we're going to make that afternoon push up to retest the 670s before we then have the late day fade. Is the pattern that we've been seeing lately anyway. What else have we got?
So I'm going to take some partials out right now on Tesla. 200 shares, just going to cover that. Because I see it did reach support level here, so a bounce, it makes sense. We will see a bounce from here. But again, if the market will show us that it does want to drop down, I might end up just adding more to the short side and then cover once the market will reach support. That's a nice trade for me right now. Let's see how it will play out.
So just, I keep mentioning that first swing out of either out of pre-market into the open session, or the first swing in the open session if it goes down to best execution. We didn't quite get there on the open. It didn't push right down there, but that's the area that I'm bothered about. It's kind of, there's two things that I look at. There's the whole pre-market range, or where there's decent liquidity. I look at that range, and that's what gives me the best execution levels. And then if we can push down near to it, I'm looking for that either first swing forward or last swing back into pre-market. And that's the level that would, I would calculate, where potentially could Tesla stop to the upside. Now, I took the first benchmark and said on the commentary there that it's benchmark 1, it's in a sell side liquidity pool. Therefore, I started a small position and covered it on the break when it kept going. But it actually went to pinpoint benchmark 2 on this hit. And that is why I say, like, if you go to benchmark 2, it's like literally an 80% chance that you're coming back for that next liquidity pool, which at the minute for me would reside. Should I not say this, Michael? Are you still in position on?
Yeah, I got F in with a stop loss at 196.90. Probably it will take me out.
So you're
unless
trying,
the
you're
market will
trading
start dropping.
Okay, so I have it down lower anyway. So I think I have it down at 193. Let's say 193.50. If it wants to go grab that, that's where I would kind of see it now. So we're kind of stacking buy side liquidity on Tesla at the moment. EFOI, just faded straight off from that 455. Hasn't done anything else out of there. VRT, just checking back on your VRT. That reverse was still a good call. VTYX, so off that level into the buy side liquidity pool. SEDG we was looking at, not a great deal of movement since that's kind of opened. PANW. So still working that best execution there. Popping up now at the VWAP there, Rocco. You seeing anything on your scanner, Rocco, that's looks like it's got momentum on it?
No, not really. It's pretty quiet. That's interesting. CART came up, but CART.
Oh, yeah.
You see how it's breaking out?
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for the pullback retest to get it.
Pullback, VWAP pullback?
No, not to the top of that consolidation. You see how it just broke out?
Yeah,
but no. So let's see if it will hold before I... So I just dropped below. And the level 2 is not in my favor, so I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna even go in.
Wow, where is it? I've got... I can't see anything on that level 2 right now. One sec.
At the moment, level 2 is looking even more bearish than bullish, so I'm gonna pass on this opportunity for now.
Gotcha. Quick look back at Luna. So Luna, kind of a VWAP test there. I kind of have this, still have this play higher up there. So, but again, I don't see this as, I feel like we could range around here as opposed to a nice drop, consolidate, continue dropping. So I think that's over for the minute for me on Luna. C-Popper did want to short at a higher level. Did I get it? 6. Yeah.
But remember Holo, how it came on the scanner? You can go back. It's really
still going to go again. Oh, it's off. Right. Yeah. So that's yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, that's a similar thing there. So there's your what we was talking about there. That's the kind of thing. So down, 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 little pause of that consolidation and the break. And yeah, and mine's as soon as you break that buy side liquidity pool, that's the one. Didn't quite make that sell side.
So Ali is asking about Amazon.
Gotcha, Ali. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so Amazon is classic of kind of last swing and whole level. So I had last swing best execution levels at 168.89. So sell side was executed. What was this? I don't know what that was, but ignoring that for the moment. Is that 8 o'clock? No, it's not. So yeah, and then the whole kind of pre-market session had best execution up here at 169.82. So remember, they're just dotted around this area. It's not specific. And again now, so that's kind of the textbook kind of best execution that would happen. And if you're trying to buy pre-market highs, you're going to feel like as soon as you buy, you're going to get like one candle that kind of you feel like it's going with you, and then you just get worked on these best execution levels, and then they go, yeah, now we're going to execute all our buy orders. We've got down here at 167.70. So they're ones that you should be able to see on level 2. You know, if you have these, certainly if anyone's ever looked at kind of bookmap, you can see them resting there. They don't always get hit. That's the trouble with level 2. When you actually look at its data, it kind of does this with price. They're always kind of sitting there, but like a lot of them just never get executed. But then you get to these certain levels where the time and sales, you can start seeing them tick, 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 tick as they hit these levels, and that is the orders that are residing there. So yeah, it's all a little bit cloak and dagger. But yeah, that is a textbook for me on Amazon. And I thought this, I was thinking, well, that range that you're giving me on best execution is not far off of really a day's range for Amazon. So yeah, I think we could reside in this kind of channel now between those two best executions. Probably come back maybe for a liquidity pull on that buy side. Did we hold one to the? If I take that low to that high, yeah. So we held that one for a push higher. Couldn't push higher. We take that higher to this low, sell side held. That's why we held. So that's same sort of thing I look for on the small caps is we've put in a high at a business side level. Can we break the sell side liquidity? And in this answer is no. So there's a short on at that point. And then now I do the same, right? If we was going to continue down, if we're going to come and grab liquidity, it would just continue to move down with price. So I'd have that in there at the moment. So we could come off of that buy side execution, grab some liquidity here. You know, my thought for today is it's just going to reside around here. But you know, if it does start to get a bit into this level later, it could potentially go to new lows. That's my very detailed coverage on Amazon for you, Ali.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
So long as you didn't want what's he going to do for next month, that's a different one.
That was a great one.
Yeah. Okay, what else do we got? We just need the market to start moving, right?
Yeah,
So
I think
sideways all day.
This wouldn't be an NVDA. Is this really an NVIDIA earnings thing? It's kind of making the whole market slow. Really, I don't know.
So Hanish mentioned EBS, that is on a climb.
ABS.
E as in
yeah,
England.
I've got that one. I can see that one. I've also got VYTX on that same scanner. Yeah, I can see that. That's being called out on money flow right now. Just a point on Mara, it's buy side liquidity off. So we're saying 23.60. If it's taking a breather to come back and grab this liquidity, it is. If I can actually draw it in, that's its buy side liquidity pool right there. So if we're going to attempt to break that to the upside, this is the one I would expect to hold in order to do it. So that is your Mara. EBS off to the races. Now this is put in, let me just check the daily quick. Okay, so it does have a daily range. So there's going to be what's happening potentially long term. Let me just move this over. Did that have a lot of volume? No, it's not really 10 times what I like to see. So, but we do have a swing here. So on the daily, if I'm looking at removing all other lines, right. So we could have, and I'm not saying this is today because I'm looking at the daily, but it has been known to just happen in a day. Is I would have these levels to consider. And as we're not there, so this is the sort of thing I do like to see. The question is whether or not it's going to happen today. Like, it's going to continue its momentum. So the first thing is, for me, has it been sold off, properly sold off from a decent level? And the answer is yes. Did it consolidate, for some days? Yes, it did. So just whether it's bouncing along in here, it gives me some spread to be able to work from. Now, the reason I look back and get this volume bar off my chart, you can see that if I get that volume bar off my chart, is because in this area, I like to see at least 5 times normal average volume like this. This would be something I'd be looking for prior to that. So what this is kind of saying at the moment is, well, this is your first unusual volume in EBS. That's when I go and look and say, have I got some institutional ownership? Have I got some insider ownership? And if the answer to those both is yes, then I'm like, well, okay, then we could actually reach this benchmark. But the question is this the first unusual pop, or will it just go? And you never know the answer to that. So we drop down to the kind of 2 minute. And now I'm having a look at what was happening on pre-market that could potentially give us a level for today. And it's messy. It's real messy. If I was gonna go with something, I'd kind of go back here to these kind of spikes and see where it might stop. And it's exactly where it is at the moment. So at 290, the intraday could stop. And this could be the first day that, so I'll draw that in, but we're literally on the scanners now, so it could blow this. But that's the 2 minute level. So for the session, you could say, yeah, that's got a high probability of reversing from 290. From a daily perspective, I'd similar to here. So from that, if this is 8 o'clock, I ignore it because it's the switch on. So I'll go with this one. Buy side liquidity held. So I like to see that hold. So that's now playing further into my hands as to say, yeah, this is a good trade. Then it starts to pop on the scanner and we break out of this zone. So that's the good trade from 2 to 280 for me today. And then I'm just taking the next one. So if this is going to finish today at 290, where will it rest until it has another go and goes for that higher daily level up at 5? And for me, I would love it to grab liquidity back down here at 210 or $2. And then I'm going, all right, now let's go for my daily levels because I've got 354 and 550 to go for. But what we got to wait for is to say, well, will it do it today? That's got to happen and got to play out this afternoon if we're not just going to bolt our way straight up there.
So I have a question, Scott. Scott, I have a question. So this 8 a.m. switch, I see that a lot on many. Yeah. So does that mean anything? Can it provide some levels, or is it just random? So
it is when liquidity. So you'll notice that things like halts and that don't really exist in the pre-market. So a lot of positioning is done in pre-market. Now, from when the liquidity providers switch on to the point at which they can provide liquidity should be the difference between 8 o'clock and 9:30. That's what it should be. However, it isn't always. But for me, I find that this is a mini indication of a level that could hold later in the day. That's why I look at these levels. Now, I wouldn't draw them in. If I'm looking for liquidity, I'd ignore them. But if I do the same thing that I do with pre-market later in the day, you can see that if I take this initial swing and then put that best execution level in, they often spike up or between both of these. And then I'm like, well, okay, that's the only time I'll stick something on and look left to see what happens when I look right. And again, you can see this time it's the break of them that kind of have it. But for me, it is kind of an indication that it's acknowledging a liquidity pool that will be used. So when it pops down here and goes bang, 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 and then all of a sudden, that to me is an indication that this is going to hold. And then when we break out, that's it. If we break out as soon as it hits the scanners, obviously you've got to have eyes everywhere to track all of these. But as soon as it hits the scanners, you've almost got to do that analysis immediately, you know, by drawing those levels or at least eyeballing it. So
Great, thanks.
no worries. What time we got? I think we've only got about 5 minutes or so left, but I'll keep an eye on this one.
So I'm gonna finish up on my end, just with the Tesla trade. Again, waiting. I got orders waiting for the Nasdaq, the Qs, but for Tesla, continue to drop just a tiny bit. What do you say, guys? Do I need to cover or continue to hold? Let's do the interactive game. Did you do it today?
No, we haven't. No, we've just been talking about each other's strategies as we've been on and trying to get some lessons learned from Rocco there.
Nice.
And me from Scott, so
Obviously.
for sure.
So now that Tesla is dropping down, there is I got support here at the 200 EMA. You can see the volume that increased before a few minutes ago here at the 195. So we might bounce from here. And again, if the Nasdaq would have dropped, the Qs would have dropped already, then Tesla would probably do the same. But since it's not doing that, I'm gonna take out the rest of the position on Tesla and call it today. So that's me. Let me push the stop loss real close. Give it just a tiny shot, but it's probably gonna take me out anyway. So
yeah, I think ultimately we would end up down lower at kind of that 93, 194, 193.50, but I just can't guarantee it's not going to pull back a little bit before it does it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So not great for me this morning. It was only 2 small scratches, but yeah, I had the early short for VYTX. So an early short, which was let me look at the film.
Let's go, Tesla. Drop, break the low.
I'm hoping I deleted that level because I can't see what I've drawn in there, as if to say, why on earth? Oh, I took the long. I'm on the 1 minute, wasn't I? I took the long. Yeah, I took this long. So I took that long there. Wasn't quite. I think it was it? Am I look at the swing A to B? I'm sure I had something. Yeah, I wasn't quite in the liquidity pool, and I took this kind of color change long before getting into it. So, and nevertheless, even when it did, it still didn't play out in my favor. So I took just under $1 on that on a stop, and then there was the initial Tesla one that obviously ran to that higher benchmark as we just spoke about. Looking at Tesla, where was we there? Where's my Tesla? Yeah, so I was playing. Where was I? This one. Yeah, this benchmark, and it went up. Actually, it's this benchmark. So I was playing in here with this sell side liquidity pool on this candle here and covered here. So yeah, nothing as profitable as me. I should have waited on for that one that you did there, Michael, and you even done it on a telephone call.
That was a nice one. Yeah, but obviously continue, guys, to watch the Qs. For me at least, that's what I'm watching. The level here, if it will drop, that could be a nice one to catch. And it's going to be super interesting, Scott, Rocco, today, the earnings of NVDA. Let's see what's...
That's a big one.
Yeah. Let's put numbers, let's try to guess. Obviously, nothing is just a prediction or a guess. Nothing to trade on, but I'm guessing we're gonna end up at around this area of 645, like open with a gap here. What you got
on post market? So when that news is released.
Yeah, so at the end of basically tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna open.
I've always got two. So you said 645, right? Let's have a look here.
Yeah, this area right here.
So 645, I think would be smack in the middle of. Oops. Yeah. So the two levels I've got from where we are now would be kind of 720 or 640, because I always have to have a buy side and a sell side. But yeah, that 640 I can agree with, but I can't just pick one. You want me to pick one? Yeah, it looks like it's going to 680, but it's got to break 674 to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to break this current ball to get there. What about you, Rocco?
Well, I'm looking at it around I'm more of 660, looking at those wicks, and but close to 640, 660. But if it pulls back, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So we are all on the downside for NVIDIA.
Surprisingly, yeah, the beat expectations every quarter for X amount of quarters. We'll see. I think it's how much it beats it by that it's going to be judged on. If it obviously fails to meet expectations, it's going to be it's how much it beats it by. I think it's been in double digits. Yeah, it was even 9% in the January one last year, but I think if it's been beaten by like between 9 and 18% every time it's released. So yeah, if it only beats it by 3%, I think that's probably going to be regarded as bad for the stock. Not so positive, but yeah, I still think it's a good play, even though it's overextended at the minute.
Yeah, super interesting for tomorrow morning as well. Hopefully we will open below the 200 EMA. I love to see stocks gapping down below the 200 EMA on the 1H, the hourly chart. In most cases, they will pop to it, like get the rejection from it as resistance, and then continue to drop for the rest of the day. So that could be a very interesting trade on NVIDIA. We'll see.
If you look at the weekly for NVIDIA, you can see the pivot. See that pivot?
Yeah.
So all signs are there.
All right, I got you. You're in here, right? This pivot here.
Oh, yeah, last three. Yeah, in the middle between the green and red. The doji, weekly doji.
Yeah,
right, I got you. All right.
Like an evening star.
Like an evening star, yeah.
Gotcha.
Alrighty, guys.
Okay. Listen, I think I'm going to carry this on, so you can catch me over at Liquid Vision Trades or over on YouTube or on Tradecast. I'll be over there casting to some of the guys I can see in the chat here, so I will continue that on this afternoon. I will take a break. I'll be back on over there, and I'll certainly have a look at when NVIDIA comes out later on. I'll be on there so we can take a look at that together. Nice. But until then, when are we back, Michael? We're back Monday?
Oh, yeah. Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, back on the live stream. Rocco, it was good to see you, mate. You got anything to follow up with? Are you all good?
Thank you. I hope I did good for the first time.
You certainly did, mate.
That's great.
Yeah, very good. All right, guys. We'll see you all back on Monday. Thanks very much.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.